don't know how to do. And that's okay, because we're going to go over it tonight. So tonight we're going to learn how to grow muscle without growing your belly in 2 weeks. And we're going to learn realistic and unrealistic approaches. So let's get cranked up here. So the traditional approach to off-season bulking for muscle. And this is a great topic to discuss because there's, I know, 3 different local figure competitors. 2 of them have just done, or one of the girls has just done 1 show. Another one has actually won the overall at her last show, and they're all trying to bulk up now, and they're all going about it 100% incorrect. And let's look at some typical mistakes people make. All right. Number 1 is that people oftentimes gobble up welfare food in place of healthy food when they want to pack on slabs of muscle and they want to grow muscle. Well, let's talk about what that means for a minute. I've actually had, I know for a fact earlier this week someone actually asked me on my Facebook page, can I have, I think it was ice cream or cereal if I'm trying to, bulk up. And I'm thinking to myself, why in the world would you want to eat cereal? What benefit does cereal bring to the table? And cereal is what I call a welfare food. Now, if you're going to try to add quality muscle, the last thing you want to eat is welfare food. And here's why I call it welfare food. If you were to go into a subsidized housing community, what do you think you'd find in the cabinet? Well, in the freezer, you'd find a lot of fish sticks, frozen fish sticks, probably find cans of Beanie Weenies and ravioli, and then you'd find a bunch of Captain Crunch, Fruit Loops, Cinnamon Toast Crunch, and a bunch of cereal. And that's what you'd probably find. And ironically enough, people usually think that's the best food to pack on mass and to pack on, to grow muscle with. Nothing could be further from the truth. Okay? When you grow muscle, if you want to pack on muscle, you want to eat more healthy foods. Eating a gross, processed, refined food serves no benefit whatsoever in growing muscle. Okay? Now, let's look at the second topic here, the second little bullet point. Your body is well fed but poorly nourished. Now, here's what that means. You can be well fed. You can be an obese person, or you can be well fed and full and have a high body fat, but be poorly nourished. What does that mean? What that means is that when you're poorly nourished, you're not going to get adequate nourishment. You're not going to get adequate nutrients. What kind of nutrients are you getting from this disgusting bowl of whatever this is? Not many, I can tell you that. I promise you that. What if you had a big bowl of, brown rice and wild salmon? Well, you get a lot more nutrients, okay? And so that's what I'm talking about. When you gain fat and you're poorly nourished, you still have cravings. Well, why would you have cravings if you're, eating a ton of food? Because your body will signal cravings when it's not getting the adequate nutrients. You can get enough calories and still have cravings. Well, how? Because your body's poorly nourished. And the only way you nourish your body is with healthy foods. And lastly is crummy exercises. I can't tell you how many men, or how many women, and men too, but this is more towards women, will I want to pack on 10 pounds of muscle, really build my shoulders up, my delts up, my back, whatever it is, my glutes, and they're doing leg extensions and walking lunges. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Oh, you're going to build a big back by doing cable pull downs? So they do horrible exercises, and they eat disgusting, worthless food, fast food. They eat welfare food. They eat the same food you see in subsidized housing, which is really pathetic. So let's keep moving here. Here's the simple secrets to eating for muscle, okay? You're not going to believe how easy this is. Now, let me make a key point right here, right now. This is just a general guesstimate, okay? If you're a 182-pound male, this probably wouldn't fit you. But if you're a 120-pound, maybe even all the way up to a 155-pound female, somewhere in that bracket, this would probably be an adequate, accurate guideline for you to follow. And this is an incremental key thing to follow here. So These are my simple secrets to adding muscle, to eating for muscle without gaining fat. Number one, on your weightlifting day, make one adjustment. And the only adjustment you'll make is you'll add a half a cup or 6 ounces of a carb source. It can be a sweet potato, a half cup of brown rice, of oats, black beans, what else? Red potato, whatever a healthy carb source is. Okay, that's it. That's all you do, just once. Not every meal, just once. Does that make sense? That's all you do. Now watch this. Simple secrets to building muscle for a non-lifting day. This is all you do on a non-lifting day, on a day you don't lift weights. Okay? You add 1 serving of fat, and I intentionally put these images here. Okay, this right here, which I'm circling with the little arrow, this is a tablespoon of olive oil, and that's basically how big it is. And this over here is pretty much up to scale. This is 3 ounces of, I think this is a little picture of fish. So this shows you this isn't much. This is not much extra food at all. Okay? Now, what you would do is, you can have this as its own meal, or you could add this to a meal. Now, you don't have to have fish. You can have chicken. You can have turkey. You don't have to have olive oil. You could have avocado. Basically, it's a 15 grams of fat. So, you could have an equal portion of, healthy nuts. You could probably have 3 whole brown eggs. That'd take care of the protein, and the fat combined. So that's all you do. So you just make 2 little itty bitty adjustments. That's it. Okay? Now I know what you're probably thinking to yourself. Now you're probably thinking, there's no way I'm going to pack on tons of muscle just adding that tiny little scrap of food, which was, I'm going to back it up here, which was a little bit of carbs on your lifting day, and then the little tiny fat and protein on your non-lifting day. And you're probably thinking that there's no way. Well, watch me prove to you right now how it actually is possible, and will make a big impact. So small adjustments make a big difference when you add them up. Now follow me here. Let me make one statement, okay? And I'm going to actually take that off the board. Let me make one statement. I don't believe in counting calories at all. I don't believe in counting proteins or fats. I believe in measuring and weighing your food. That's it. That's it. Measure and weigh your food. You don't need to count calories or count protein grams. Okay? With that being said, I am using calories here to demonstrate a point. Okay? Because it's a measurable number that's tangible that you guys can look at and see the value. And so a lifting day adjustment, you have half a cup or your 6 ounce carb source. That's basically 30 grams of carbs. Now you have 4 calories per gram of carbs, so that's basically every lifting day you're jacking it up 120 calories on every lifting day. Well, that's not that much. Well, it's probably not, but let's keep going. On a non-lifting day, you have your 1 serving of fat, which is 15 grams of fat, and fat is 9 calories per gram. That's 135 calories on a non-lifting day you're getting just from the fat. Then you got the protein, which is 4 calories a gram, 18 grams, and you do the math, 135 plus 72, that's 207 calories you're getting on a non-lifting day. Okay? That's not a ton, but it's still more. Well, let's look at this. Now, check this out. Now, I'm going to explain to you a little bit later in the webinar why I only want you to do 3 lifting days a week. Okay? When your goal is to build muscle, you don't need more than 3 lifting days. Now, I'll explain why in a minute. But all you should do is 3 weightlifting days a week. Okay? And that's 120 grams of, or 120 calories, just like we touched on above. Okay? At 360 calories a week. Then we have the 4 non-lifting days. You add those up, that's 828. Now, if you combine the 2 days, combine these, that's 1,188 increase in total calories. When you chronicle your entire weekly tiny little additions, do you see what a big impact this makes? Not over the month, over a week. Do you see that? Do you see those tiny little adjustments from healthy food made a profound big impact? Does anybody have any questions about that? Does that make sense? Type in. I mean, you know, so many people I know. This one girl I talked to, actually, it was last week. She said she went out and ate like a big stack of pancakes at IHOP, you know, because she was trying to build muscle. That's ludicrous. That's outrageous. You know, if you make tiny little incremental increases a week, you'll reach your gain slowly. You know, you're not going to, anytime you gain weight fast, it's going to be fat. You know, there's going to be fat involved. So this was a good little thing to show. Let's keep moving, though. Let's keep rolling here. So you might be asking, well, what if I still can't grow? Okay. Well, add an extra 1/2 cup or 6 ounces on I put lower body day, but honestly, you could do it on all your lifting days. Okay. So this is what's called, we're going to talk about it here in a minute, but it's called outcome-based decision making. Okay. And you're like, well, what if I get fat? Well, every month, what you should do is you should check your stats, measure your waist, and try to find an accurate body fat test. And if you feel like you're getting fat, then you should cut back. So drop a 1/2 cup of the carbs just on one of your lifting days. Now let me make a quick point here. You're going to get fatter. That's okay. Okay, if you're already really lean and you want to build muscle, that's fine. You know, if you gain 3 pounds of lean mass, and let's say you gain 4 pounds of scale weight, and 1.5 of that is fat. We'll take 2.5 pounds of lean mass. If it means you gain 1.5 pounds of fat, we'll take that. You're going to gain some fat with it. Listen, if you're already over 20% body fat, you probably shouldn't be eating like this anyway. You probably don't need to be, you know, I'm not going to say you don't need to be trying to build muscle, because you always should try to build muscle, but fat loss should be your #1 priority. Now, Rosie writes in, and Rosie from Japan says, I was adding about 500 calories extra a day and still not growing. Well, Rosie, what that would tell me is, #1, you probably weren't getting adequate sleep, which we'll talk about in a minute. #2, your training program probably was inadequate. You're probably overtraining. You were probably doing more than 3 days a week, and you probably weren't doing very effective program design. I mean, you're probably doing crummy exercise. And thirdly, or fourthly, you've given me the impression that you probably, or you definitely, weren't eating enough in the first place. These are people that are coming off a cutting diet or are already really lean. So that tells me your baseline foundation eating was way too low in the first place. That's what that tells me. Or you were probably, like I said, you're doing too much cardio, or basically you were probably overtraining. It was one of those 4 key issues. Let's keep moving here. Now, lifting for muscle in the off season. Let's talk about that for a minute. First off, you want to change every exercise. You want to change the stuff that you were doing when you were leaning out, when you were on your cutting diet. Now, you want 3 lifting days per week max, okay? And I'm going to touch on that a little bit right now, and here's why. I only lift 3 days a week, and I'm a guy. I have testosterone, and far more than a female, okay? You don't need to lift more than 3 days a week. If you can, I'd be willing to bet anything. There's not a single soul on this webinar tonight that has the genetics to absorb and to flourish off a 4-day-a-week weight training program. Second of all, on 2 of those other days, we'll get to that in a minute. We'll get to that part in a minute. But my point is that your body's not going to be able to recover in time. Just because you're not sore doesn't mean you're recovered. And a lot of people don't realize that. And if you think you can go more than 3 days a week lifting, what that tells me is that the loads, or as science defines intensity as, the load, the amount of weight you're lifting, isn't heavy enough. Okay? Doing 5 sets of 15 reps, that's not lifting hard. That's not lifting heavy. Okay? Doing a weight that you can probably do 5 reps, but doing, 6 sets of 4, that's lifting heavy. Does that make sense? not saying you got to go to failure every set, but leave about a rep in the tank. My point is that you want to use a load that's under your 5-rep max. Not for everything, but it needs to be incorporated. Now, this is all you do. You don't need 6 different exercises per muscle group. You just want 2 compound exercises per muscle group. So if you're doing shoulders, all you would need to do is some maybe some upright rows and some dumbbell vertical press, and then 1 isolation movement per muscle group. So for shoulders, you could do, like I said, upright rows and dumbbell vertical press, and you could do just some side raises, some dumbbell side raises. That's it. Now for biceps and triceps, you recruit your biceps and triceps when you do dips. Or when you do dips, you hit triceps. Chin-ups, you'll hit biceps. Dumbbell press, you'll hit triceps, so on and so forth. So you only need to do really 1, maybe 2 isolation movements for the biceps and triceps because they're already used during compound movements. So for biceps, you could probably do, I don't know, some dumbbell preacher curls and maybe easy bar reverse curls. And for triceps, you could probably do some tape press and cable push down. Very simple, not a whole lot to it. Now, this young lady right here, and you can see the dates down here. Her name is Elijah, and she's from, I want to say BC, British Columbia, Canada, and she trains with a guy who I'm actually partnered up with, and I actually designed her eating pattern. And his name is Adrian Crow, and that's his website right here. And you guys should check out his website. I'm actually going to post some of his stuff on my Facebook page tomorrow. But me and him have partnered up, and he trains her. And I built her diet program, though. And this is just from January of this year till May. You can see the dates down here, how much her back has developed and grown. And he's a really good trainer, and he really knows what he's doing, and he's definitely packed some good muscle on her, and he let me jump in on it and build her a good program that keeps her well fed. And this young lady, she has a very fast metabolism, so we had to really give her a lot of steak and potatoes and whole eggs, and bless her heart, she's grown some muscle, so she's done well. And this just goes to show that what can happen, what can be done with someone that's might have a very fast metabolism and not the best genetics in the world, that even if you do train smart and eat smart, you can still push forward and develop a solid musculature foundation. Now, what about cardio, or I call it metabolic? We never exceed 2 times a week. That's it. Just 2 times a week, right? And we never exceed 15 minutes per session. Now, 1 session is always going to be steady state. Now, just because you do steady state, you can do a jog, a treadmill walk, a Stairmaster, or the elliptical, whatever. Doesn't mean you have to go 15 minutes. You can go 6 minutes, you can go 8. You don't have to go 15. You can, in fact, it's probably best if you went like 6 or 7 minutes and, added a minute each week. Or, added like 1 or 2 minutes a week. And the other cardio metabolic day, you'll do intervals. And intervals, you can do, for metabolic, I like to do froggers, burpees, toadies, single leg froggers, in and outs, star jumps, stuff that uses, recruits the musculature in the hip region. Or you could do sprints outside or HIIT training, which is so ridiculously overrated. But my point is that if you do intervals, an interval is this. An interval is you go hard, you do a quick burst, if you will, then you rest. Okay, and when you rest can be active rest, like a walk. Okay, and when it doesn't have to be. You can stand still, if your intervals are intense enough. But my point is that however long your interval bout is, so let's say you do in sprints and each sprint lasts 10 seconds, your recovery in between intervals needs to be 4 times the actual explosive bout. So if you're doing, let's say you're doing, 10 sprints outside, and each sprint lasts about 10 seconds, then your recovery would probably need to be 40 seconds. Okay, so your recovery is 4 times the actual sprint duration. Anyway, simple enough. So if you got 3 weightlifting sessions a week, all right, and 2 metabolic sessions a week, you have 2 days that are totally off. You with me? You got me on that? So you want to know when you grow muscle? You grow muscle when you sleep or when you rest, and the richest form of rest is sleep. Now check this out. You if you're lifting more than 3 days a week, your body's not going to have time to catch up and grow. If you're going 4 days a week, yeah, I'm hardcore, the more is better. There are these literally fools, these little girls that have, I say little girls, you know, women that are 23 that have next to no muscle, that are in the gym 6 days a week, that are doing like just excessive chronic volume, and they're eating like just junk food, and they wonder why they can't improve their physique. It's just, you recover when you're not lifting, so you want to lift the minimum amount. You could probably lift twice a week and do awesome, but you know, you want 3, so whatever. So, and that's it. You know, if you do too much in the gym, your body's going to be playing catch up. But we don't want to play catch up. We want to get ahead. Does that make sense? We want to have time to totally recover and then rebuild even more from our sessions. Stand up and be counted if that makes sense. Does that make sense? Good. Melissa Hernandez says, that makes total sense. Now, how many of y'all have seen people, and I'm going to pick on women, you might as well, they're not skinny or fat, and they might even have a decent physique, and they're in the gym 5-6 days a week pounding away and running afterwards. And you know, I mean, do we see that? Yeah, and Chardonnay says that was me. You know, and she saw, you know, it's very, and she says she never saw satisfying results, and that's why. You know, and yeah, Melissa says I'm describing her sister, and actually, Melissa, you should actually, the recording for this will be up. You know, you should actually send her the recording for this, you know, later when it's up after the webinar, and have her watch it. But anyway, that's the point, guys, is that, you know, and I'm going to touch more on this, and I don't want to get ahead of myself, but let's keep moving for now. Now, we're going to totally change directions here, okay? Now, and this is off topic, but it does tie into the main point. Now, when I build my customized eating programs for people, and even the training programs too, the biggest factor I take into consideration is your somatotype. That's how to pronounce it, somatotype. And I don't want to spend a ton of time on this, but I want to touch on it more than briefly, okay? Now, I'm not going to show pictures of every type, but I want to give a brief description. So really focus now. Bear with me, guys. Bear with me on this. You have the endomorph, okay? That is basically, think of Miss Santa Claus, Miss Claus. You know, a warm, cuddly, friendly, you know, probably chubby, even obese woman that's predisposed to higher body fat. These 2 women here are great examples. These would be endomorphs. A mesomorph is a genetically muscular person that usually has lower body fat levels. They're very rare, okay? Lastly is an ectomorph. They're more of a tall, thin, narrow clavicles, narrow hips, and usually leaner, but not always. I mean, I'm sure you guys have seen men or women that are tall and thin. Well, they don't have to be tall, but they might be. Whatever, they're thin, and they have thin arms and thin legs, but they might have a chubby belly. And I mean, you've probably seen people like that. So now, catch me now. Watch this. Follow me. Only about 5% of the population is a pure, P-U-R-E, pure somatotype. Okay? Most people, in fact, the overwhelming majority, are a combination of 2. You can't be a combination of 3, but you can be a combination of 2. Now, follow me now. There's a 3-digit grading scale that the godfather of metabolic typing, Dr. I think William Sheldon, coined. And it's a 3-digit grading scale, all right? The first digit represents endomorph, second digit, so the middle digit represents meso, and the third represents ectomorph. Okay, so each person would have a 3-digit grading scale. Now, you grade the person, you rate them in each digit corresponding to the somatotype, how much they are like that somatotype on a scale of 1 to 7, with 7 being the highest, or the most likely they are like it, and 1 being the lowest. So you have to at least have a 1 there. You can't have a 0. And so if only 5% of the population are a pure somatotype, then that would be a 7-1-1 or a 1-7 or a 1-7-1, or it would be 2 1s and a 7 in any particular order. Now, these are just I just threw 2 random examples, and these are not for these women here. These do not correlate. I just said these random women here. Now, follow me. Who here saw that photo I just posted on my Facebook page before I started the webinar? Say aye. Type it in if you saw it. It was a woman. Actually, she was probably a freshman in college, and she was like ripped. She was skinny, but she was ripped. Okay, Claudia said she saw it. Katie saw it. And that girl, watch me now. I'm going to describe her in a minute, and I'm going to explain how she built her muscle. She gained 30 pounds of muscle earlier this year, and there's a write-up on her, and I actually had an article I posted on her on my Facebook page a few months ago. And she actually spoke at my church a couple weeks ago. So I didn't meet her, but it's a big church. But I definitely saw her there, and she I don't know what she weighs in this first photo, but let's look at her the top part of her. Now, I put "you're not a mesomorph," and here's why I put that: is that I can't tell you how many people read my article, which I posted over a year ago, called "Metabolic Typing for the Mortal Woman." And the pictures aren't even up there anymore. The article's up on my message board, but the pictures from, I think, PhotoBucket are deactivated. I need to get the pictures reactivated. But it's a great article, and I talk about this. And I can't tell. I must have had a bunch of girls email me saying, "Oh, I'm a mesomorph. I gain muscle so easily." Oh, no, you don't. Believe me, I'm going to show you a mesomorph. Believe me. Let me show you what this girl isn't even a mesomorph, and I'm going to explain why in a minute. I'm going to explain why. So there's me, but I have to chuckle at these, and I'm, forgive me, ladies, but I'm going to play hardball here. How many of these chunky, moderately chunky, slightly, moderately, if you can say that, muscular women, I get their photos, and they're like, "Oh, trust me, you're not even in the same galaxy as a mesomorph." And I don't say that to be pejorative, okay? I'm not saying that to be pejorative here. I'm saying that to just to be factual, okay? So many women think, "Oh, I'm going to build muscle." I can assure you, this woman built muscle. You're not going to build guns like this woman. Now, let's talk about why I graded her at a 164. Now, remember, 1 is endomorph, which is, the higher body fat predisposed. The second digit refers to the mesomorph, which is the muscle builder, the muscular person. And the 4 refers to ecto. Now, she's a tall, thin girl in the photo, but look how lean. I mean, the girl's basically got an 8-pack. Look at her delts. You don't see this on women. The delt bicep tie-in. I know it's not a clear photo. It's kind of off to the side, but my point is that I've been around in the gym long enough and worked with enough college athletes and figure fitness and general fitness people. You don't see this on 19-year-old girls, okay? So she was ripped. She had the muscle. She was just thin, and she hadn't come anywhere near muscular maturity. And what happened was she basically, started taking, I don't know what kind of weight gain shakes they were. I don't know the brand name, but I've seen, let me finish my story. And she put on about 30 pounds. Now, you're like, well, why did she gain pure muscle? If I did that, or if you're probably saying, well, if I did that, I'd just get fat. Well, you probably would. You don't have her genetics. Now, if you're a 164 somatotype, you can do this. And here's why. She had a rapid-fire, super fast metabolism. Her body was begging for a surplus in quality calories. So when she got it, her body just repartitioned those calories like crazy. And I don't know if she ate fast food or what, but she probably just took in a bunch of, you know, some kind of weight gain shake and just ate more food. But my point is that she's one of these people, and you're like, well, that's impossible. You can't gain 30 pounds of muscle drug-free. Look, you can. You can't. I couldn't, but I played college football for 4 years, a full scholarship athlete at the Division I BCS level. And I was a coach, a strength coach at Florida, the Florida Gators, for a year. And I was and being a player and a coach, I saw freshmen come in that were skinny but ripped, you know, and had muscle. And then, you know, that first off season, they'd pack on 20, 30 pounds of pure grade A muscle. You're like, well, how is that possible? Well, number one, they're made by a different nature broke the rules on them. Let's just say they have superior genetics. You or I don't have that. And second of all, they were so underfed in high school and at home, and ate such garbage food that when they get to college and eat from a college training table and are given, you know, shakes and weight gain and protein shakes after every workout, recovery shakes, they're given a surplus of calories and they're training hard as hell. So that's how this happens. Now, she's not even a pure mesomorph. She's not. Well, why wasn't she? Well, look how skinny she was here. A pure mesomorph, you know, would have been jacked up from the get-go. Now, I'm about to show you a picture of a pure mesomorph, okay? This is a pure female mesomorph. Now, she is a 171. Now, I've met this girl. She actually lifts weights at a gym I used to go to. I don't go to that gym anymore. But I actually saw her earlier this year a few times lifting weights. She actually looks small in this photo. She's probably 5'8". I don't know what she weighs, 150 maybe, 155, 160. But she's bigger and looks almost just as ripped in person. And she overtrains. I mean, I remember she was doing back one day earlier this year. She must have done 6 exercises for back. I mean, it's like, this is ridiculous, you know. And if you did that, or if I did that, we'd overtrain and we wouldn't get much progress. But when someone like this, that is a 171 pure mesomorph, you don't have the luxury she does, okay? And you should never copy what someone like this does. The rules don't apply to a 171 mesomorph, okay? They don't apply. They apply to me or you or everyone else, okay? You don't have this blessing or curse. And I put a blessing or a curse because some women who are terrified of getting big, you know, they wouldn't want to have this blessing, or a curse in their opinion. But for some women, it'd be a blessing. But my point I'm making is that now check this out. She used to run track for UGA, the same school that the other girl was a cheerleader for. This girl. Now, I've seen a track photo of her from back when she ran track, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago, whatever it was. And obviously she wasn't quite this big, but she was still ripped and muscular. She wasn't as skinny as the other girl, you know, so, but, you know, she obviously wasn't quite this big. She's had more time to develop and, you know, key on just pure muscle growth. And my point is that I wanted to show these two women as an example, is that these are women that could possibly have to worry about getting too big. Okay, you don't have to worry about getting too big. Okay, now you do have to worry about getting too big if you don't eat right. Let me repeat that. You do have to worry about getting too big if you eat too much. Okay, if you're eating smart, healthy food and you lift weights the right way, you're not going to get your arms too big. All right, I can promise you. So, with that being said, does anybody have any questions? Do you guys see the genetic gap that's between you and these two women? And I'm not saying that to be pejorative here. I'm not saying that to belittle you. I'm saying that to shed light on a topic that so many folks are delusional on. And it goes both ways. It's some women that don't want to get big, and it also goes for the ones that do want to grow muscle. They're like, well, why don't my delts pop out? Because you don't have her genetics, Well, you don't have her genetics. You'll never have arms like this woman. I promise you. But that's okay. You can still do your best. Let's move on. And I got a great quote here, and I actually put this on my Facebook page this morning. I put, your body burns fat and builds muscle when you rest. Off days are your friend. Okay? So, you know, when people sign up with me, and this is JJ, and she signed up, and this is her here, and she's 30, and she's married with 3 little kids. Okay? So she's had 3 babies now. In the first month, she went from the first photo to the middle photo. And you can tell a big difference. In the second month, she went from the middle photo to here. And you can see an even bigger difference, okay? And she actually, you know, she loves to train hard and does, you know, she probably might even overtrain sometimes, do a little bit more than she's supposed to. And the whole point I'm making is that people often think more is better. More is better. 4 days a week is better than 3. 5 is better. Well, no, it's not if you want to build muscle. Now, I've had some people go 4 days a week lifting if they're trying to burn fat. Well, when you're trying to burn fat, that's different. You want more time in the gym. You want to burn more calories. When you're trying to build muscle, you don't want to burn more calories. Is that making sense? More gym time doesn't equal more muscle. When you want to get really lean, you're going to need more gym time. Okay? For someone that's really wants to get really lean. So we had a great webinar tonight. Does anybody have any questions about anything? I already got a few questions lined up here. Chardonnay is saying, hope you're recording this so my husband can listen and I can listen to the rest. Great info, Wet Wolf. Absolutely, Chardonnay. It'll probably be up tomorrow. Let's see here. Tracy from Salt Lake City, Utah is asking, what are some other fat sources I can use? Well, I'll tell you an interesting fat source you could use, and I don't put this in my clients' programs. Well, I have before. But she said what an interesting fat source you could use for your 15 extra grams of fat, your 1 serving, is organic grass-fed butter. Well, from grass-fed cows, that is. It's very healthy. If you want to put the butter on, I don't know, a piece of meat or your vegetables. So that's a good option. Missy from Virginia is asking, do you need to get lean before you build muscle, or can you do both at the same time? My question to you, Missy, would be, well, why would you need to get lean first? And then I'll answer the rest of your question, is that if you eat correctly and train correctly, then yes, you can build muscle and burn fat at the same time. If you're deconditioned, which 99% of everybody that signs up with me is, everybody that signs up with me builds muscle and burns fat their first month, if they follow the program, if they execute the program. So to answer your question, Missy, absolutely. Okay? Absolutely you can. You're not going to gain 5 pounds of muscle and lose 10 pounds of fat your first month, but you'll probably lose, 3 or 4 pounds of fat and gain, a pound and a half of muscle or something like that. So yeah, you can definitely do both if you eat and train correctly. Rosie from Japan is asking, does it get more difficult to build muscle as you get older? Rosie, absolutely it does. In fact, let me say this. I'm 35, I'll be 36 this year, and I can tell, I get weaker every year. Seriously, it's harder for me to not get weaker. Now I'm fit, I look good, I'm lean, and I'm muscular, but I'm nowhere near as strong as I was back in 07. And I was probably leaner in 07 and even stronger. It just, for men, and I think women might even be a little bit better, but for men, when you hit 31, for me it was 32. When I hit 32, I got more aches and pains, and it just took me forever to recover. So yeah, absolutely. Melissa from Atlanta is asking, my mom always told me not to lift too heavy, otherwise I'll get stretch marks at my age. Is this true? No, Melissa, that is 100% not true. You get stretch marks when you grow and get pregnant. A lot of pregnant women get stretch marks because they gain a ton of weight if they don't know how to eat correctly. So that is absolutely incorrect. Let's see. I got some more questions up here. Keep asking questions, you guys, and let me see, I think I missed one up here. Let's see, Rosie from Japan is asking, is it better to do 2 cardio sessions than no cardio. It is, Rosie, because it aids in nutrient partitioning and repartitioning, and it keeps your metabolism going. It keeps your metabolism revved up. You know, I mean, Rosie, it sounds like with you that your training and your program design and your diet just isn't in check, because it's, you know, if you just can't, it's rare that someone can't build muscle and isn't gaining weight too. Like, a lot of women just get fat, but you look very good in your photos you sent me about a month ago. I mean, it was very impressive for someone at your age, you know. So yes, that's a short answer. You should do it. Now, Missy said, would you repeat Rosie's question? And Rosie, all she asked Missy was, is it better to do 2 cardio sessions than 0 if you want to build muscle? And the answer was yes, it is. You want to get your 2 in. Now, you don't have to, you can cut them short. You don't have to go the full 15 minutes. Yvette from Miami is, what's the best cardio to get rid of cellulite? Well, Yvette, cellulite is a manufactured term that was manufactured, I think, by the editors of Cosmo magazine back in the 80s. So it's it's an industry term. It just means fat. So the best type of metabolic activity to burn fat would be a combination of what I've listed. You know, and I have a lot of those are covered in my programs. And on my YouTube page too. Claudia from Orlando is asking, can you get rid of cellulite building muscle? Once again, cellulite is an industry term that was coined back in the 80s, I believe, by Cosmo. Maybe it wasn't Cosmo, maybe it was somebody else, but maybe it was, I forgot the magazine, but it was coined by a magazine editor. It's an industry term. Okay. But lifting weights definitely will help, because when you lift weights, you spark a greater metabolic initiation. You initiate a greater metabolic spark, which aids in the fat burning process. Yvette, if you haven't seen my YouTube video on CF, then you need to see it. Go to my YouTube page. We'll go to YouTube and type in that term. I'm not going to say it loud here, but basically, neither of those are any good. That's the short answer. And if you want further clarification, you can go to my YouTube page, and I have a video on there that was the most polarizing video probably in the history of YouTube. Let's see here. We have Cynthia from Raleigh, North Carolina is asking, what is the best carbohydrate source to eat if I want to burn fat? Well, you know, I mean, you know what I'll tell you. I think what I'm really big on is black beans. Black beans have fiber, and they really fill you up, and they're also a incomplete source of protein. So you get some protein from them, and you know, you get really slow digesting healthy carbs. So I like black beans. Black beans are really good. That's I'm a very big fan of black beans. They are very, very, very effective. Just canned, you know, and you can take them and you can drain that murky liquid out of the can and just rinse them out, you know, put some water rinse in there and rinse it out. Does anybody have any more questions here? If you felt like this webinar was beneficial to you, then do me a favor, reciprocate from the info tonight and go to my Facebook page, and I'll make a post in a minute when we're done, or in about 5 minutes, and give a shout out and just say, hey, I like it, or I didn't like it, or you suck, or you were good, or you were helpful, or, I mean, hey, I'm a no BS guy. I'm going to give you the truth. And give me the truth. If you didn't like what I said, tell me. And if you did like it, tell me. Either way. Let's get a few more questions. We've got a few more questions here. Vera from the Czech Republic. That's quite a ways away, Miss Vera. Vera is asking, can I have ice cream once a week? if I want to on the muscle building, if I want in the muscle bulking stage. And the answer to that is, well, it depends on your metabolism. If you're like that girl, and I'll even back up here. Well, you know who I'm talking about. The one that was packing all that muscle that was a cheerleader, she could probably get away with it. If you have a fast enough metabolism, you might could too. But basically, ice cream really isn't going to help you. It's not going to help you. Let's see here. Aaron from North Dakota, good heavens, it's probably still snowing up there, is asking, what about natural peanut butter? Now, natural peanut butter that's fine for your fat source, but and actually some brands of natural peanut butter, you can even have 2 tablespoons of 1 serving. So if you want to have that and mix it with a protein shake or eat it on some celery, or that's a great option. Just don't go overboard on it, because it will catch up with you. Do we have any more questions here? Does anybody have any questions about anything? Fat loss, muscle gain, training? Melissa Hernandez is saying, if I've always been thin, my whole family, but no muscle. So you're definitely an ectomorph. What do you recommend to gain muscle but not get too bulky? What does bulky mean? You're not going to get too big now. We just went over that, okay? By bulky, do you mean fat? Well, if you eat smart, you're not going to get fat. That's the whole thing. So what I would recommend is signing up for a customized eating pattern. Because when you do that, I give you one of my published training programs to follow, which is very effective, and I design a customized, personalized eating pattern just for you. I give you a roadmap. I give you a GPS system. I give you a game plan. So, a lot of people, they try to build muscle or burn fat without the right game plan. So you always want to have a game plan or a map. And you're always going to reach a destination in whatever you do, but it just might not be the right destination. It doesn't matter how hard you run. If you're running east, you're never going to see a sunset, will you? So these people that say just train hard, never give up, believe in your dreams, and you'll develop the body you want, that's BS. You won't. You'll spin in circles. That's why I hate a lot of these fitness celebrity, girls that got awesome bodies that'll post on Facebook, don't ever give up your dreams. Well, how about you get a good game plan? You need the right map to your dreams before you can reach your dreams. Annabelle from Orlando is asking, now, Annabelle, are you friends with little Claudia? Y'all are both from Orlando. Yes! Annabelle says yes. Now, Annabelle, Claudia is friends with Monica. Do you know Monica from Spain? And actually, Claudia, are you a little Spaniard too? Claudia, are you originally a Spaniard? Yes, no, yes? Or are you a señorita? Or, because Monica, Claudia says yes again. So she was a little Spaniard. How adorable. Let me scroll up here and get the question in. All right, Annabelle says, I do boot camps 2 to 3 times per week. At the same time, I love spinning classes. How many spinning classes do you recommend to don't over-exercise? Well, Annabelle, you shouldn't be doing spinning classes at all. In fact, I wrote about them in an article, and they're very, very, very bad for you for a number of reasons. Boot camps are not periodized. Boot camps do not incrementally increase. It's just a bunch of people running around in a backyard. That's basically all a boot camp is. People running around like a bunch of chickens with their head cut off, doing half push-ups and sloppy crunches and playing steal the bacon. Yvette asks, are your diets created on my height, weight, and goal? Yvette, if you go to my programs page, I explain, once someone signs up, I send out basically a 2-page, thorough, in-depth evaluation. Okay? And there's an entire litany of questions and feedback I ask for the individual. So, I mean, everything. I mean, you're gonna list stuff. It might even take you an hour to fill it out. It's so in depth. It's not even funny. I want to know everything about you.
I want to know every bit of information about you outside of a note from your third grade teacher. So you better get ready to write. I mean, I even need photos. So I mean, we go to work. This is no cookie cutter program that's, we nickel and dime. I take pride in what I do. I have a sense of urgency to deliver top quality. I put my fingerprint, my moniker. I put my personal stamp on all my work, and I take it personally if you don't get effective results. It's a crafted with an artisan craftsmanship, and the technology that I use is not available to other people. It's not available. It hasn't been discovered yet. It's not available. The technology that I've uncovered, that I've built and designed, that I use for my programming, simply is not used by other people. Let's see here. Claudia says, Yvette from Maine. Oh, Yvette's a friend too. We got a whole pack of you little guys in here. All right. Nathan, good to see you here. Nathan's actually on board. He's cranked up. Why is the last 10 pounds of fat the hardest to burn? Well, Nathan, what happens is, first off, the last 10 pounds, the last few pounds to burn is that your body adapts. Your body is an adaptive organism. That's how it survived so many years on this planet. And the human body can adapt to its stimulus, to its surroundings, to its environment. The human body does not want to relinquish body fat, and it clings to body fat. Your body fat will cling to your body like Al-Qaeda inserts. They don't want to let go. All right? Your body fights like crazy to keep its fat on your body, because with your fat, you can live longer. You can survive longer in the wilderness. You know that. So, you gotta have a strategic, preemptive attack on your fat loss and tweak it and constantly change it. That's why I tell all my clients that sign up, you renew and you submit your progress chart every month, and I'll tweak or I'll rebuild your program. Once you renew, and you've got to do it monthly. So that's basically, your body's an adaptive organism. All right, any more questions here? You guys can ask anything. Shoot away. I'm game. Shoot away. I wish I need to get a bunch of folks at my gym, the gym that I lift weights at. I don't do personal training. I just go there to lift weights to get on this call, because there's a lot of folks at the gym I go to that are absolutely clueless. But at gyms and fitness clubs, different classes they have, different boot camps, whatever. Those are profit centers. Those are profit centers. Major profit centers. In the gym, they're going to tell you, train hard, kill yourself, and get in here more often, and that's the key to success. And it's really not. But they have to say that to subsidize their rent, to stay in business. And Yvette's asking me, what's my favorite cardio? Well, I don't call it cardio. I call it metabolic. And I like doing, I like pulling the sled. I love pulling the sled. It's the best tool out there. And I also like doing like froggers and single leg froggers and burpees and toadies. Melissa Hernandez from Atlanta. What about, let's say, Jillian Michaels at home workouts, or is that just so me more crummy exercising? I'm not sure if that's a trick question or not, but with all due respect, Melissa, that's absolute garbage. You're not going to build muscle doing that. Okay, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt and assume that was not a trick question. All right, any more? I'll take 2 more questions. Get them in. Anything about anything? Thanks. She said she's going to get a refund now. I know, you should if they'll take one. Send them back. Any more questions? Well, guys, I sure appreciate it tonight. Do me a favor, if you would. Go to my Facebook page and
screen sharing has stopped.
And type in and let me know if you liked the webinar or not. Let me know if you liked it, and